If we're not fighting about religion, we're fighting about an ism, an ideology,
Right.
but the history of the world is one of territory, right? It's about conquering.
Right.
And we see it today, right? The first thing that this cockamamie president wants to do is go into Greenland.
You're listening to Radio Free Mike. Hi, and welcome to Radio Free Mike, the podcast about freedom and its discontents. My name is Michael Scott Moore, and today we're talking to Deborah Kapchan, an American folklorist and ethnographer who's written a new memoir, Taking Leave, about her complicated relationship with three different major religions, Judaism and Christianity, which formed her as a kid in New York, as well as Sufi Islam, which intrigued her during a phase of her life in Morocco. I was interested in this book in part because Somalia is also a Sufi nation, at least on the surface, so we wound up having a lot to talk about. Deborah, welcome.
Hi, thank you very much for having me, Michael.
Your book is a really fascinating memoir of leaving, at least to a certain extent, the world of your childhood. Mm-hmm. How would you describe it?
I took leave of some things in my childhood. I returned to others. Yeah, exactly. I could have called it arriving. I could have called it belonging. But at the end of the day, I feel like it's a spiritual memoir, and about a kind of leave taking of everything that I know, and to move into places that are unknown to me. And ultimately, I feel like it is that unknown that is healthy for the human spirit. It's a kind of unanchoring from home, from our habits, but that unanchoring opens our heart, opens our mind to experiences that we might not otherwise know. So the taking leave is, as you say, a taking leave of my Christian roots, if you like. My mother was Christian, my father Jewish, but I didn't grow up with my father. I grew up with him every Saturday. I saw him every Saturday. And I moved to Morocco, when I was 24, and lived there for 3 years, and then continued to go back. I still continue to go back. So Morocco became a kind of second home, and my leave taking was geographic. I left the United States. It was spiritual. I left the religious identities in which I was born and which I inherited to understand Sufism, which is kind of mystical Islam.
Yes, and so I've been to Morocco too, and I love it. But you really sort of sank into the culture there. What brought you to Morocco in the first place?
Well, I have to say that at 24, I had already, I'd finished college. My major was literature. I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I went back to college for a second BA in music performance. I was a flutist, played music for a while in New York, and then I wanted to get out of New York and didn't really have a penny in my pocket. So I joined the Peace Corps, not with any kind of intention to save the world at all, but it was an incredible opportunity. We learned language for 2 months, intensive Arabic language instruction, and then are set loose in the sense of, and I had a job. I was a teacher of English, but with our language skills to deepen the language, which is what I did. So
you learned Arabic. You learned Arabic?
I learned, Moroccan Arabic.
Moroccan Arabic is its own thing.
Yeah, there are several dialects of Moroccan. I went on later in my doctoral studies to study classical Arabic, but at the time I learned Moroccan dialect, and it is known to be the one furthest from all the other dialects. They kind of
Right.
shorten all the vowels, and it's a very staccato kind of language compared to the mellifluousness of Syrian Arabic, for example.
Right.
But
Well, and Morocco is also the furthest point geographically to the west, isn't it?
that's right.
That people speaking Arabic. And when I first went to Morocco, somebody described to me Muslim culture in Morocco as the west coast of Islam.
Oh, that's so interesting. My daughter lives in Oakland, so I know what that means.
Yeah.
And I suppose I would say that's so, in the sense that Moroccan Islam, and Dale Eichelman, an anthropologist, wrote a very important book in, I think, 1976 called Moroccan Islam, because Morocco is imbued with Sufism, with an esoteric, mystical practice. And there are several schools, if you'd like, or of mystical Islam in Morocco. So yes, it is a very spiritual place. You feel it, as I think, as soon as you land and explore a little bit. And, I spent years there without exploring Sufism, learning the language, kind of imbibing it all around me, because it's also a kind of a culture of trance. People
Yeah, I want to talk about that.
yeah, go into trance very easily. I saw it in the street, in festivals, in rituals, at weddings. But it really wasn't until 1994 when I went back for a year as a Fulbright scholar. I had already done my doctoral studies. I'd been there several times. And I must say that I was married to a Moroccan, and I had a child by my former husband. So I was really in the culture. I had family to visit when I went there.
And was that as of your first visit? I mean, did you go there because of your husband, or did you go there and meet your husband? No, you went there because of the Peace Corps. You went there and then met somebody who would become your husband.
Yes, he was my colleague. He was an English teacher as well.
And what drew you to the culture? So did your descriptions of the sort of dance that people do in Morocco, they dance to Nawa trance music. I think Nawa music is wonderful. And the dance that they do, which is a whirling kind of thing, is very similar to what also happens in parts of Turkey, ancient Persia. It's the same culture that the famous poet Rumi came out of, which is how most people understand Sufism. So let's hear about how you started to dance.
Well, they wouldn't call it dance, for one thing, because they would call it, shtah is dance, or ruqas is dance, but for them it's judba, it's trance, and interestingly, I studied the gestural economy, if you want, of trance cross-culturally. I mean, if you look at Haitian, if you look at candomblé or santeria or Haitian ritual, you see a similar bodily disposition. And it's because a lot of these traditions came from Western Africa, migrated with forced migration in slavery to North Africa, mostly in the 15th and 16th century, and also, of course, to the Caribbean. So there's a very similar chest forward, bottom back, head swaying kind of gesture, and that puts you into a trance. That, of course, with music, the vibration, the rhythm, the repetition, all of these things which bring us to another state. And that's the word they use.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but this has been a free preview of this episode. And the whole thing is open to paid subscribers to Radio Free Mike. So if you'd like to hear the rest, please hit the link in your show notes or in the body of the email we've sent you and upgrade your subscription over at Substack. Then you'll be able to listen to the full episode on any platform. Thanks for listening.
Station.